Jeep is sending their biggest, baddest Wrangler, the 392, off into the sunset with a special edition. This final edition here for 2024 is going to be limited to 3,700 units worldwide, and 3,300 of those units will be sold in the US. And actually, they are all sold already, but the demand was so high that Jeep has decided to bring it back for 2025. So this 2024 isn't quite so final. The 2025 should be the actual final edition. Stellantis did this with the Dodge Durango Hellcat as well, and buyers were kind of up in arms when they brought that back. So I'm interested to hear how the buyers react, the ones that bought this 2024 thinking that it was going to be more of a special edition. But as always, I'm going to go through this thing from the outside in, talk about what it's been like to live with for the last week. Let's go ahead and take a look. Applaud whoever over at Stellantis is walking around with Hemis and Hellcats and trying to figure out what these engines will fit into. I love that they stuffed this engine into here. This is the 392 HEMI V8 from the Dodge products, that like the Challenger, the Charger. And this thing is going to make 470 horsepower, 470 pound-feet of torque. Your fuel economy is not going to be great with this thing. I'm averaging right around 12 miles per gallon. So good, you know, it's not exactly aerodynamic, and these big naturally aspirated V8s typically are not the best in terms of fuel economy. And we're looking at a full-time 4x4 system, of course, with this being a Wrangler and you have front and rear locking differentials. You're going to be mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Thing is a big boy. These things always have such a massive presence. I have been able to get it into my garage though, even with that spare tire on the back. So the final edition here is going to give you about a 1/2 inch extra lift over the regular 392. So we're about 11.6 inches of lift here, which is great if you are taking this thing off-road and you're going about 35 inches of water. We're going to be on these big 35-inch all-terrain tires. Those are going to be standard with the final edition. They're actually standard on the 392 as well. And you've got 17-inch beadlock capable wheels. I do love these little logos here. They just hide these all around. Jeep is the best when it comes to little Easter eggs. And we've got these over flares here on the final edition as well. We've got the rock sliders as well. We've got final edition badge on the side. There's trail rated 4x4. These doors do pop off. Of course, wouldn't be a true Wrangler if you couldn't pop the doors off. And then these doors, they do have a button for touch to lock, and you just touch on the inside to unlock them. These mirrors here, they do have blind spot monitoring. They do have heat. There's no camera under here though. I would have liked to see a camera here. I would have liked to see more cameras in general, just on something like this. It's an off-roader that's over $100,000. Be nice to have a few extra cameras. But note, when you do take the doors off, these mirrors are coming with you, unless you get an aftermarket accessory. You can sort of clip mirrors onto here, onto the door frame. Since this one has the Sky Top One Touch option for $4,000, where the top will actually roll back, these quarter windows in the back will come off completely. For the front of this Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 392 4x4 final edition, there are way too many words in this thing, but we've got some updated front fascia going on here with the 7 slots going across the front. That's a new 2024 update. We got full LED headlights. We got daytime running lights are going to be LEDs as well. We got LED fog lights as well. But the things that are going to set this apart from the regular Rubicon 392, a lot of that is going to be up here in the front, the big triple loop steel piece here to help protect that front bumper when you're off-roading. We got the Warn winch down here. That is Warn, the brand. They're not giving you a used winch, but this thing can pull 8,000 pounds. And then we've got the logos up here. We got the 392 across the side, and then over the hood scoop here, we've got a big 392 logo as well. So those are going to be your big differences between this one and the regular Rubicon 392. And then I love the little Easter eggs they put up here, the little Jeep going up the side of the windshield. That's going to be standard though, not just for this particular model. And if you're not familiar with the Wrangler and you're trying to get to the hood latch on the inside and you're looking around trying to figure out where that is and you just can't find it, it's because there isn't one. If you want to open up the hood, you got to pop these on the side here and then you can just go ahead and pop the hood from the middle there. Of course, we've got the classic big boxy back end here, the giant square with the square tail lights. Love the look of that. This one can tow. It can only tow up to 3,500 pounds. So the 392 and the 392 Final Edition are going to be a little bit lower than the ones with the V6. And then down underneath, we've got the quad exhaust. Since this one has that big old V8, you want to be able to hear that. It's got the active exhaust there. So under load, those exhaust baffles will open up, or you can hit the button inside if you want that opened up just when you're driving around. And we've got the beefed up mount here for the full-on 35-inch tire with a 17-inch beadlock capable wheel. So this is a full replacement, not just a donut. And clever little thing going on here. They put the backup cam right there in the mount. The little Jeep Performance logo on the side here. And then this opens up on the side. Pop this open, and we've got actually quite a bit of space here. This is a lot more space than I remember the Wrangler having. So pretty decent, pretty comparable with a SUV of this size as well. And those seats will fold down. A 12 volt back here. You got the little JL logo going on. Your Alpine subwoofer is back here. This bag here is for these quarter windows because it has that Sky One Touch roof on it. And then you got the 83 piece tool set. Thank goodness I have this because I ordered the wrong mount for my tripod and the one I got didn't fit. So I used these tools to hack up the little mount about 5 minutes ago. That worked out really well. But love to see that you got that toolkit there, and you got some D hooks back here as well, of course. And then over on the side, got this little tray. Pretty cool with a couple of cup holders as well, and your Jeep logo, as well as another little Easter egg, another little Jeep picture over here. And over here, I love they have this little info sheet to tell you all about your JL Jeep. This one is specifically for the Rubicon 392 Final Edition. Just gives you some quick specs, tells you it was developed in Auburn Hills, Michigan and built in Toledo, Ohio. Pretty cool little, just a little touch there for that little plaque. This one also has the air compressor on it. It's going to set you back another $2,000, but if you are somebody that takes this off-road a lot, you like to air down the tires, and then you want to come back on the road without having to stop somewhere to fill up the tires, you have this compressor right here, then you can just air up right there. Now, of course, you can't pop that tailgate with the key here, but you do have your simple lock, unlock, panic button, as well as your remote start. So if you're somebody that wants to warm up the car, it doesn't get super warm inside or cool it down. Well, it doesn't really get super cool because it's not super well insulated, not super surprised there. But if you just like to hear the exhaust sound, then you can just lock it up and start it up. The inside of this Wrangler is pretty utilitarian. I mean that in the best way. They've laid out everything really nicely. Everything's easy to use. You got all these buttons and switches, and it feels like I'm a helicopter pilot or something, like you're in a cockpit, and there's just so much that's easily accessible here. Now, my only real problem with this interior is, it's not really a problem, but I'm just conflicted. This car is over $100,000. This is not the interior of a $100,000 car, but at the same time, you don't want it to be super precious in a Wrangler. Like, this is how the interior should be in a Wrangler. So it's really like, I'm just a little bit conflicted there just because of the price point here. But the interior is nice for a Wrangler, and like I said, everything is really laid out nicely. The Final Edition, some of the differences you're going to see here are you get the nice Napa leather steering wheel with the Mayan gold stitching, and then the Napa leather seats with the Mayan gold stitching. These are going to be the black seats instead of the red ones that you get in the regular 392. And then you also get this coin over here on the shifter that says 392 Final Edition, but really the rest of it is going to be pretty much the same as the regular 392. With the seats, as I mentioned, I like these seats a lot. They're a little bit on the stiff side, which I kind of like for this car. They are bolstered really nicely. They are power adjustable. I was a little bit surprised to see that they were power adjustable, honestly. Power adjustable windows as well. Wrangler is actually one of the only cars left where you can still get manual roll down windows, but this one, they are power adjustable. Your window switches are over here since these doors do come off, and they are nice and easy to pop off as well. You just unscrew here, pop out the little cable there, and then pull them off. A lot of the stuff here, so I mentioned pretty utilitarian, pretty useful here. There is a grab bar here, which a lot of trucks and SUVs don't have on the driver's side for some reason. Really glad they left this here because I'm short and it's annoying to get in and out, and this really does help me quite a bit. Buttons laid out well. You got buttons on the back of the steering wheel for your tuning and your volume as well. Nice paddle shifters here, really laid out well, really nice and beefy and perfect for this car. Gauge cluster from 1992, I think, when gauge clusters started going digital, but it gets the job done. I do like that you still have the big analog tack and the analog speed on the sides, but then the middle you can kind of pick and choose your information there, and they make it nice and simple. You can scroll through a few options. If you want to set some of the stuff in the corners, you can set that as well. Big stuff, your fuel and your temperature is right there and easy to get to. Now the infotainment here also from 1992. It's, you know, it's a little bit on the slow side, feels a little bit dated, but it gets the job done. Honestly, things are laid out well. Things are easy to find here. There's a ton in here for your off-road stuff, as well as just for your comfort settings here. There's all your AC and everything is through here, but you do have HVAC controls. You got a front and a rear camera, and then the back, which is sticking out of where the spare goes. But that stuff is through here. You got your comfort settings. If you want to adjust that, though, you still have your HVAC down here. Nice big knobs and buttons that you could use if you got big gloves on or whatever. Still nice and easy to grab and use down here. Heated steering wheel, heated seats are going to be standard. Your performance exhaust button is right there. Love having that on around town. I would not have that on the highway. It gets a little bit drony, but that's nice and easy to get to. You can turn this screen off if it's too bright at night. It's kind of in your face at night. Nice and easy to turn that off as well. You got your front and rear differentials down here. You can lock those. You can lock just the rear, or you can lock the front and the rear. Sway bar disconnect is nice and easy to get to. Got some USBs down here. There's even a USB-C. I was a little surprised to see that. Your aux buttons here, you got 4 choices if you want to customize what those buttons do. A little bit annoying to get to just because they're behind the shifter, but not the end of the world if they're things that you don't use all the time. Shifter, your transfer case right here. Manual handbrake, love to see that. Couple of cup holders that are rubberized in a spot for your phone. This one does have wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay, so if you are connecting to your phone, you just want to throw your phone down here, you can, but no charging on this. No wireless charging or anything, no wireless charging in here, so you do have to hook up to a cable either up here or from inside the console if you do want to charge your phone up. Inside here, tons of space, another USB. Got your adapter here for your winch. You got your home link up here for your garage door openers up here. So this one, there are a few different top options that you can pick for the Wrangler. This one has the Sky Top One Touch option, which is an extra $4,000. But if you're somebody that likes to take the top off often, then this is really the way to go, because this is one touch. It's going to mess up my lighting, so I'm going to leave that closed. But it will go all the way back, and it'll basically just cover the cargo area. So passengers in the front seat and the back seat will get an open top. But then inevitably, if you go to take your Wrangler top off and you don't have one of these, and it's going to rain in the next like 30 minutes, as soon as you take it off, you check the weather and you're like, oh, it's going to rain now, I have to put the top back on. That also gets you the removable quarter windows on the back, gets you an 83-piece tool set. You get the rear wiper with the rear wiper spray as well as that rear defroster back there. So really a nice option. $4,000 is a lot of money, but when you're already over $100,000, you know, an extra $4,000 for this probably worth that extra payment there. But back seat's 38 inches on the legroom back there, which I was actually surprised about. I thought it was tighter than that. It feels pretty tight. You know, this is a big car. Thing with Wranglers and Broncos both, they feel like big cars, and then you get inside and it's a little bit more squished than you expect. But I fit totally fine back there. I'm 5'7". I fit fine behind myself. Got forward-facing seats back there. Rear-facing seats are going to depend on how tall you are. If you're like under 6 feet, or maybe up to 6 feet. You could probably fit a rear facing seat. Might be a little bit tight back there. They got the fold down armrest in the middle there. You do have space underneath the seats as well if you need to put anything there. And then those seats do fold down pretty much flat as well. They've got vents back there. They've got USBs back there. There's a regular plug back there as well. They've got a pretty good life sitting back there in the back seat. This is laid out really well for what it does, and I think it suits the Wrangler really nicely. And I really enjoy it. It'd be nice to have some ventilated seats. It'd be nice if it was a little bit better insulated, but again, something where the top comes off and the doors come off, probably not going to be super well insulated. It does get pretty hot in here, but generally speaking, you know, it's a utilitarian interior. It gets the job done, does everything you need it to do. It's comfortable enough, it's spacious enough. Generally speaking, it's really just a well done. It's just the price point that I have a little bit of a problem with. Daughter said when I started up the truck the other day, or when I started up the Wrangler the other day, that it shook all of the pictures on the walls in our house. All right, so I've been driving this car around for the last week, as always with these cars that I review. I'm not the off-road guy, as I mentioned in the past. There are plenty of other YouTubers online that can show you what this thing is like off-road. So I haven't really been off-roading it. We do have quite a few potholes around here. That probably doesn't count, but there are some pretty giant potholes. And I hopped a couple of curbs. A couple of them were even intentional. I haven't mall crawled this thing either because malls died like 10 years ago with Amazon. I'm not going to spend too much time on the daily driving, the road going manners. Obviously, they're not going to be great. You could probably put this picture together pretty easily. You got front and rear live axles, body on frame, big knobby tires, big square box. Roof comes off, the doors come off. You can probably put this picture together pretty well. It rides pretty rough. It rides like a truck, really. If you're coming from a mid-sized truck or another Wrangler, even if you're coming from like a Bronco or something, a Bronco rides a little bit better, but those are going to give you a pretty good idea of the ride quality. It's not like unbearable or anything. Like, I've been daily driving, it's been totally fine, but it is pretty bumpy. It is loud, a lot of wind noise, especially on the highway, a lot of road noise. The engine, of course, is loud, but it's nice to hear that engine. I like to hear the V8, especially when you put on that performance exhaust. And then once you do get going on the highway quickly, the steering, we have recirculating ball steering. And, with the wind hitting the side of the big box here, and then the steering just is like, there's a lot of little micro adjustments, not the most fuel efficient. All the Jeep guys are going to come after me for this, but I mean, this is not news. It's not a great road going car. It doesn't have very great road going manners, and the fuel efficiency is not great. So it's not the best for daily drives. It's not the best for highway drives, but it does have like some decent driver's assist stuff here, which I was a little bit surprised about. And I'm not talking like stuff that gets in the way. A lot of this stuff really does stay out of your way pretty well. It's got blind spot monitoring. If you want it to beep at you when you hit your turn signals, you can have that on, but I turned that off and it hasn't really gotten in my way. Rear cross traffic alert. It's even got the front collision warning. Like, if you're coming up hot on somebody and they're hitting the brakes, then you'll get this beep, like, just to let you know that you gotta hit the brakes. And this one does have beefed up brakes. The 392 in general gets beefed up brakes over the regular with the V6. So we've got all that, a few extra, driver's assist things. It's even got adaptive cruise, which I was a little bit surprised about, especially since this is really not great highway vehicle, not great for like super long stretches of highway. And it is properly quick for sure. You can feel the difference between this and the V6. This is definitely much quicker. Supposedly 0 to 60 in 4.5 seconds. I haven't measured specifically from a stop to 60, but you can feel that it's quick, which is not typical of a Jeep. Like, last time I was in a Wrangler, I was in an Unlimited, and it was, it didn't feel super quick. So this one actually does feel genuinely quick, even though it is 5,200 pounds, but it can get out of its own way totally fine. A big part of driving a Jeep around is you've got to wave to all the other Wranglers. This is, I mean, this is a cool like community thing. The Jeep community is cool. I've been diving into that a little bit. You know, I drive my car, that my actual car when I'm not driving these other cars, these press cars, is a GTI, and there is a Volkswagen Wave, there is a GTI Wave, but you know, people don't generally do it. I've probably gotten more waves this week from Jeep owners than I have in the entirety of the 5 years that I've owned my GTI. So there's definitely more of a sense of community going on here. So, and then if you notice these ducks, so if you're not part of the Jeep community, maybe you haven't heard of this, but you're supposed to, like, if you like somebody's Wrangler, you put your duck on their car as just like a sign that, like, hey, I like this car. Like, I like, maybe if you like what mods they have, or you just like the way it looks, or whatever it is about their Jeep, you just like it, you put that duck on their door handle or on their hood or somewhere where they're gonna see it, which serves two purposes. One, you know, it's a cool kind of sense of community. It's like, I can make somebody's day. They're like having a bad day or whatever, and they come out and see somebody like their Wrangler. And the other purpose it serves is it triggers the people that are not into the ducking thing. At the end of the day, it probably sounds like I don't like this vehicle very much just based on the comments, but the fact of the matter is it's just not a great road going vehicle. It's not what it's made for. If you're doing long stretches of highway, you're commuting in it, it's not ideal for that. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking online at Wranglers after driving this thing around, because there is still something about it. The idea of the capability, if you are somebody that goes off-road, or if you are somebody that goes camping a lot, the idea of the simplicity, the fact that they use like the same bolts all over the place, the fact that they have that toolkit in there, you can take the doors off, you can take the roof off. It's sort of a rugged interior that's not super precious. Wouldn't care if I just threw stuff in there, if it got dirty or whatever, it'd be nice and easy to clean. It's like the idea of having a rugged truck without having the bed on it. And really the doors and the top are just a unique experience. Yes, you can do that in a Bronco as well. If I was somebody that had to sell Wranglers, I would have a family day. I would take the doors off, take the top off, and just have families come and take test drives in them like that. And I feel like I would sell every single one of them, because there is something very cool, very freeing, very fun about just driving around with the doors off and the top off on like a nice summer night. But at this price point, that's where I really get hung up. Yeah, the V8 is quick, special edition is cool, but this is $108,000. You can get a Defender, which is a lot nicer inside and still capable off-road. You get a Lexus GX, which is nicer inside and still capable off-road. You can get a Bronco Raptor, starts at 90. I mean, there's a lot you can get at this price point, and it's just a bit tough to swallow. If it were me, I really wanted this experience, I would probably go for like the regular Rubicon with the V6. You're talking about half the price. You know, maybe with the special edition, it'll hold value better. But if I were to go for this, you know, I would really go for that lower spec, for that V6 Rubicon. And you still get the doors off, top down experience, and you still get plenty of capability, just not quite as quick, doesn't sound quite as good, but you still get a lot of the same stuff. As always, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and I will see you next time.